And we're back! I'm MC Banjo Mike talking at the internet, and you, if you're listening, are watching Let's Play UN Squadron. I got something special for you folks today. We're going to be playing my favorite level and buying my favorite plane in the game. This is the Forest Fortress, and once again, Skinny Tie does not have the slightest idea what he's talking about, so don't do what he just said. So, the F-80 Crusader. It's been good to us, or, you know, okay I guess, but it's going to be sitting this one out. We got it up to level 4 out of 5, but that's where it's going to sit for now, because we're moving on to the A-10A Thunderbolt 2. Maybe there's a Thunderbolt 1 out there somewhere. I'm not sure if it's part of the UN Squadron arcade game or not. Hopefully something bad didn't happen to it. Either way, we're buying that, and here's the weapons loadout you can get for it. These Falcon missiles are kind of interesting, but not very useful, whereas the Napalm is absolutely amazing. It rocks the floor. So I'm going to grab everything but the Falcons, and we're going to hit the forest, and get ready for double firing action. The A-10 obviously is extremely cool in a horizontal shooter because it gives you a second stream of fire down at the 45-degree angle. And it's not extremely powerful. I think, looking at it, I'd say that it's probably about the equivalent of a level 2 Vulcan cannon. But it does let you do a ton of crowd control, because most of the smaller planes, they don't take much damage before they go down. And all those little tanks and launchers on the forest floor there, they're equally suitable fodder for my A-10's magnificent downward firing cannon. You might notice that the front gun actually isn't that powerful. The A-10 only goes to level 3 on its main Vulcan cannon, as opposed to pretty much every other plane in the game. You will also note that I don't care, because that's awesome. Just picked up a star, that's worth some cash. I think it's worth 50 grand. This actually makes the forest level a really good one to fail. If you know where that star is, it's pretty early in the level, you have a good chance of picking it up before you die. So any run that you don't survive is probably going to make some serious money, unless you blew all your cash on weapon upgrades for some reason. The downward firing gun isn't really strong enough to take out these flamethrowers by itself, but it does do a number on the missile launchers coming up over here. Someone called me out for not destroying the missile launchers in the battle cruiser, the land cruiser in the desert, so I thought I'd take a few of these guys out for you. And the Unicorn. The Unicorn is by far the best pickup in the game. It gives you a shield that absorbs a certain number of hits. I think it's around 3 or 4. And while you get hit, you don't go into danger mode, so you're completely safe for at least a little while once you pick it up. I'm going to use that to good effect, so I'm going to stay low to the ground and try taking out these turrets. If you don't destroy these guns, you're in for a hell of a time. I think that the part of the fortress, the weak spot, is this middle thing here, which is currently shielded, that launches missiles at you when it opens up. It takes a long time to destroy, and you're going to have to make several passes on it for sure. Using some napalm to good effect. Napalm is extremely destructive, covers a very large area, does a lot of damage. It's an excellent choice for all the bosses in this part of the game. And there's the Yashichi. This is a Capcom classic. You've seen it in games going back to the original Mega Man. I think it was in one of the Strider games. What it does in this game is it refills all of your health. I know in Mega Man it gave you back all your health and weapon energy, and I thought at one point that they gave you back some weapon ammunition in this game, but it doesn't seem to do that. So one of the really cool things about UN Squadron as a horizontal shooter is the way it lets you take multiple passes at static targets. You fly to the end of the base and then you spin around and approach it from the other side. It's cool, it's fun, it also lets you draw the fight out a little longer. And it also makes it possible to have targets like this stationary base that wouldn't make a lot of sense in a game where the plane was continually moving forward. You know, what would you do in a normal horizontal shooter if you got to the end of this base and you hadn't destroyed it? You'd just keep on moving? I don't know. UN Squadron gets around this by having you swing back and approach it from the other side. It's possible to take this out in definitely less than 3 passes. I think often I do it in 2, but I'm trying to be thorough here, so. We're back at the center. I think we're just a few steps away from blowing this thing up and being on our way. Yeah, there we go. I'm almost sad to say goodbye to the forest. I think it's a really cool level. The exploding trees are a high point. The forest base is one of my favorites. It even gets its own music, which I think is pretty cool. Plus, it has one of the most homicidal psychopathic quotations from Mickey so far in the game. Yes, Mickey, we saw that. You are terrifyingly effective. So, next up is the battleship. I said the battleship. There you go. It's called Minx, and its striking power is tremendous. Be careful, I guess, is some advice that I have nothing to say against that. Being careful, probably a good idea. I'm going to take the Falcon missiles on this level because they could be a little more useful, just to show you how they might work. I'm also going to grab napalm, which makes a little bit less sense when I'm flying over an ocean than a forest, but nonetheless it's extremely useful against this boss. So you might find yourself wondering why I'm still picking up these power capsules even though my Vulcan cannon is maxed out. Well, the reason for that is that power-up capsules are shared between all the different planes that you can buy. You might have noticed that when I started using the A10, I didn't begin on level 1, I started at level 3. The reason for that is because with the Crusader I managed to get up to level 4, which is actually higher than you can go with the A10. Later on in the game though, we're probably going to have to say goodbye to the A10 and buy one of the late game planes, and those guys have Vulcan cannons that can go up to level 6 or 7. That takes an awful lot of power capsules, so it's in my best interest to grab everyone that I can between here and there. It's also the reason why playing Shin is stupid, because Shin's special ability is that his Vulcan cannon powers up really quickly, so you get to maximum firepower faster. However, the only time that that's really useful is the beginning of the game. By the end of the game, Mickey and Greg are both going to have accumulated enough power capsules to have their Vulcans maxed out anyway, plus their special abilities will still be in place. So you can tell that we're coming up on the battlecruiser because, well, I guess night is falling? The battlecruiser blots out the sun, which is pretty impressive for, you know, a boat. It's a pretty similar boss to the Forest Fortress in the way it behaves. You have a very large number of small targets firing at you. The difference here is that you really do need to destroy them all in order to sink the ship. I'm pretty sure the Forest Fortress explodes as soon as you take out the central missile battery. But this guy, you can take out these command towers in the middle, and they won't do you any good until you've destroyed the gun batteries on either side. Honestly, I think it's probably the harder of the two fights, because there's so many different targets shooting at you. Even if some of them are faster to take out, it's still... Oh. So, just wanted to demonstrate to you the famous Human Torch aspect of this fight. There you go. Let's do it again now. Honestly, if I had to pick one level to fail, I would rather have failed the forest level, because at least I'd be getting some more money, and it's a much more interesting level to look at. This first run up here, it's, well, it's not very interesting. You just got planes, 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 and the occasional boat. It doesn't stop me from getting hit sometimes, because the planes come from angles that I'm not expecting, and those stealth fighters there actually have the nerve to shoot at you, which is something that most of these guys are civilized enough to not bother with. On the other hand, dying and playing the level again gives me an excuse to pick up some more POW capsules, so, you know, you'll see by the time that we're done here we should be up to around 60 or so, and that could be useful eventually to us. Ah, I hate those guys. They're so hard to weave through. Anyway, since we have some time to kill here, I thought I'd say that this particular segment of my Let's Play is brought to you by Caledonia 80 Shilling beer. It's nice to have something to drink while you're doing your commenting, so I went to the fridge to look for some Kilkenny, and I don't normally even drink Kilkenny, but my cousin's husband left some in the fridge, and, you know, I just thought that I'd go through the stuff. I've kind of come to like it. When I realized I didn't have any in the fridge, I was kind of sad, but I picked up some of this Caledonia when I went to Ontario last time, and it's a pretty nice beer, a sort of Scotch ale. It's got a little bit of a coffee-ish taste to it, nice dark color. Oh, okay, this is interesting enough that I'll stop talking about beer for a few seconds. So, the first time through I didn't realize that there was a unicorn hiding up at the top of the plane. And this is one of the strengths of the A10 plane, is that with two different streams of Vulcan fire, it's much easier for you to unearth those hidden items, and they can really make a big difference. Like, having the shield makes a boss 5 times easier than if you don't have one. So if you noticed in my earlier videos, I'd spend a lot of time weaving around shooting, even when there weren't any enemies on screen, and that's because I'm always trying to find, you know, is there a shield coming up, is there an ammo refill, maybe a fuel refill, or can I even look forward to getting a star, getting some money? So with the shield in hand, you'll notice that I get to the end of the battle cruiser without too much difficulty, and I pick up this weapon refill. Gives me a pretty large amount of bombs, almost completely refills my napalm. That's going to come in handy. Just like in the forest, there's a safe spot right in front of these main cannons where you can hide. The problem is that in the battlecruiser, the second of the cannons is higher up than the first one. So in the forest, you could just sit in the exact same height until something forced you out of that pattern, and that's how I destroyed 3 out of 4 of those turrets. But yeah, on this guy, you have to move eventually. So you'll notice that I've taken my last hit that I can take. My fuel tanks are empty, and that means I'm in permanent danger mode. This is very stressful, but it's also, I don't know, for me it's one of the more fun parts of UN Squadron, is just barely surviving a mission after spending the last 2 minutes of the boss fight in constant danger mode. Swinging back around to take another shot at these turrets, You might also have noticed that I spent a lot of time directly above the turrets. That's because I recently learned that they can't fire up. So if there's nothing else on the screen shooting at you, you just park yourself above them like this, and they turn around over and over again and don't do any damage to you. You might wonder why I'm leaving that guy alive when I could be dropping bombs on him or something, and the reason is that underneath the wreckage of this command center is another star. So let's just Fuck. Okay, you know what? Things are getting pretty crazy here, and I'm obviously making no headway against that battleship, so let's call it a day. That's the end of this video. See you next time as we defend ourselves against the encroaching submarine.